Mental health has been a real challenge for everyone, but also high school students during this pandemic. I have experienced mental health issues over the last months that I've never experienced before, and coming to terms with that and learning how to cope with it has been a real challenge. The students in this video were kind enough to share their struggles with me, but they also shared what made them happy, what kept them going, and what they've done with all their time. Once again, if you don't feel comfortable answering the questions, I completely understand that, and I don't want anybody to feel pressured by these. How did you cope with loneliness and motivation, and did virtual interactions with people like, just a WebEx or a breakout room, or did anything like that help at all?
I work at a grocery store, so I'm like a kind of social person. And so just working at like a grocery store and just getting to talk to lots of different people, and everybody's super nice, mostly that goes through the check stands. So just like being able to talk to people and socialize still in like a safe way helped me a lot. Like
Thrive by myself sometimes, but that doesn't mean that I don't get lonely, and that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy being around people. And it's something I forget sometimes about myself until I'm actually around people. And, going to school the other day, I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I could talk to people anymore. And that kind of goes back to the social media thing. Like, that you think you're interacting with people through social media, or not the same. It's never the same. And you don't see that other people are struggling in the same ways that you are, or in their own ways, right? And I think that's been kind of one of the hardest things for me, is just remembering that other people exist and other people are struggling too. Thousands of kids, within a mile or 2 miles of me, that are getting up and have the same routine. Like, they get up, they go to school, they are done with school, and they sit on their couch and then they go to bed and do it again, right? We're all doing the same thing. We're all, the whole slogan is we're in this together, but
we're alone together. Like
yeah,
everyone's alone, and we all have to do the same things. And then, but we're all doing it at the same time. So like they say together, but it's really not.
I've been getting like really lonely just because like texting has just been so much work for me, and so like I'm really bad at like responding to people, and then I feel like nobody wants to contact me, and then I go down this rabbit hole of like, oh my god, like I'm all alone, and like there's nobody else, and like I don't have any friends, and like I just like panic into a ball just because like there's a pandemic and like I can't see people, and like I'm trying to stay safe. And people really need to like look out for themselves and like take care of their mental health, and like I think I'm really finally starting to understand that like people really need to look out for themselves first, and like that's what I've been doing, and like it really like it makes sense that like people are struggling to like really reach out. And
the lack of human contact definitely made me more depressed, but I would try to take every chance I had to make social interactions that were COVID friendly, even if it was just through like a FaceTime or something like that.
I've really, in the last month or two, I mean, I guess this whole time, I've kind of retreated into myself. And it's not that I don't want to connect with people, it's just that I don't. And I'm just as guilty as anyone else. And like, there are days like I'm waiting for someone to connect with me. And I have to remember that if I'm not making the effort, why should somebody else,
I also think the other thing for me is like I'm just not great at like communicating through technology. Like I'm really struggling to like put in that effort, even though it's not even like that much. It's just like a text.
yeah, or I even like started just, this is like super tiny, but on Instagram I just tried to like respond to people's stories, really talk to, just to like make connections with people that like I haven't seen in a really long time.
Decided to like reach out to anybody I feel like talking to online, but that's problematic because I have a hard time matching like tone.
I have a really hard time reading people's texts too. Like, someone will send me a text that says okay, or it's a thumbs up or whatever, and I will like completely misinterpret it.
Like, I've gotten really bad at communicating with people, but I just decided to communicate with anybody that says anything to me, or that I like, I say, oh, I like your necklace. I'm gonna start a whole conversation now over Instagram, just because like I think I need to talk to some people, but it's not the same. I don't know, it's weird. Like I want to see my friends, obviously, but I can't. So I just talk to random people on the internet.
That's great.
I feel like I got closer with people that I already knew. But as of like people that I had met during school, we didn't really stay in touch.
I had a very similar experience. Like I had made friends in school, but like you're not really close enough with them to like ask them to like come over and hang out or something.
Yeah, plus you
And
have
like
because of the pandemic.
exactly, yeah, it's like through activities and stuff. Like, but then when those activities stop, like you kind of drift away.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of answering our question, like, how did you cope with loneliness? Is you're just doing your best, and I don't know, you end up being lonely anyways, kind of thing.
What was something that you really struggled with?
I think that not taking the time to like work out and go outside as much as possible, I think I lost a lot of motivation in schoolwork also.
And you lose like mental health with like your physical health there.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest struggle that I've found. At the beginning, I was super motivated with like I had this whole schedule of like I'd wake up and I'd like go for a walk, and then at lunch I'd like take another break and go outside, and I actually felt super connected with like myself kind of mentally, and like able to get outside more and just I don't know, kind of have these like outlets that you don't really get when you're in school and you're just like constantly going and going. And I was really enjoying that. And then and I found out I had to get knee surgery. I was in my bed for like 2 months because like awaiting surgery and then after. So that was not fun.
I sprained my ankle really bad and I didn't do anything about it, but apparently I had a tarsal coalition, so my bones tried to fuse. So I had to fix that, and also my tendon disconnected, so now I have a cast because I got surgery on Wednesday. So I can't move. And I'm also really bad at crutches. So that's scooter though. So that's fun. I can't paint it because it's a rental, but I have a scooter. I painted my cast. It has flowers. I have pants on so you can't see. Like,
Oh, I love.
but now it's like a whole new level of isolation. I literally just get up and I like hop downstairs and I sit on the chair for like the whole day because I can't even move anymore.
Yeah, I also had knee surgery in September. And so like the first couple months I was biking, I was running, I was having a great time, so, like with that extra time, and I was spending it outside like you guys. And then I lifeguarded over the summer, and then yeah, my knee injury like took that away from me. So
I've always been super active, and keeping moving keeps me happy. So especially during the winter this year, coping with my knee injury as well as everything else was extraordinarily challenging and put me in a state of mind that was really hard to handle.
In like October and November and like the fall of this year, I got pretty depressed, and I'm actually seeing a therapist now, so like that's something new that COVID has brought. But it also made me like recognize that I had some emotions that I like wasn't letting myself feel. But now that I kind of can reflect on that, I'm a little bit grateful that I've had like that time to experience those emotions that were kind of building up, and that I didn't get to, that I like hadn't experienced before.
Struggled with like mental health, but yeah, I think that it gave us more time to like kind of be aware of stuff that we never really noticed before. So like I was definitely more aware of like different struggles that I have. And yeah, I also agree with Riley. It was like kind of a good thing because then you can like work, you have more time to feel them, but then also to work through the stuff that you're feeling and dealing with. Like, yeah.
Transitioning into hybrid learning was new and exciting. It hasn't been easy, and it has brought on new mental challenges for a lot of students.
My tolerance is a lot lower.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like it's even less school, and it's only 2 days a week, and it still feels like so much.
I thrive in having the exact same thing happen every day. It's sort of in that like OCD, like anxiety thing. Like I like knowing exactly what's going to happen. So I like it when it's the same. So going into hybrid where every single day is different is really difficult for me because yeah, like having something that stays consistent is good, and it helps me with that motivation of like, okay, once I've got this done, then I'm gonna do all the other things. Like I don't know, it just activates the part in my brain that gets me to work.
Hybrid learning makes it almost impossible to find a balance. I found myself really struggling to get my work done on the days that I wasn't in school because having that transition every other day for a few days every week is really hard to balance.
Motivation, like getting up in the morning and knowing that today's going to look almost exactly like yesterday. Do you make a point to like do something different every day, or what keeps you going and what keeps you motivated right now?
It was nice to have more choice in like when I did my work and like how long it took, because now that we're back in school, I've realized like we spend a lot of time like doing the work and I get done before, and then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I could be doing so much right now.
More than anything in the world, I want to play water polo right now. That's all I want to do. But like I can't. And so I'm just dealing with it right now. Like I don't have an option, so I'm not like doing it. That we've been talking about this since middle school. I did an actual Harry Potter marathon. Like I made it happen. And now I'm starting another insane like movie thing. I'm watching every Nicolas Cage movie that's ever been made. There's 100. The list right here. Like I can get 3 in a day and not feel insane. But like some days I only watch 1. Like I thought that they were all going to be terrible, which is why I wanted to watch them. But they ended up being really good, and it's like, I don't know, a fun challenge for myself because I've now lost 3 different jobs because of COVID, and like I can't do my sport. And so like why not watch a bunch of movies?
Scout, you mentioned something that you were reading a lot, and I like have started reading so much more, and I really like just putting a little bit of reading every day in. It makes me feel really good, and like ending my day that way is, I don't know, it feels so much healthier, and like it just makes me happier than if I'm like staring at my phone or something before the end of the day.
Well, I also spend a lot of time sleeping, like in the morning. And it like really makes my day better.
Like a week before lockdown started, when we didn't know there was going to be a lockdown, I was like, you know what, I'm going to write a song. And so I did. And then lockdown happened. So I was like, I'm just going to record it. So that's just what I started to do. And so that's what I've spent most of my time doing.
Yeah, I went through like so many different phases. Like I haven't really stuck with anything. I got really into rock painting for like a solid 3 weeks. I think that was my longest phase. It's kind of nice just to have something to look forward to and be like, oh, okay, I have at least something that like I know is going on this weekend. I know I'm gonna enjoy.
The morning, I love to have a morning routine. I get up, I go downstairs, I make my breakfast, and then I like do some kind of movement, and then I go to school, and I'll do my school until noon. At noon, I stop, I eat my lunch, and then I either finish my schoolwork or I spend the rest of the afternoon doing something. And for a while, I wasn't like doing anything different any day, and so I think it was important for me to like the other day, I just could not be at home anymore. So I got out and I went to the park and I sat in the park for 2 hours, and like that's what made my day different.
I learned how to play viola, sort of. I needed it for a song, and so I borrowed my friend's because I couldn't explain it. I was like, I'm just gonna do it myself, and you can tell like in the song, it's a little bit off, but I feel like that's one of my biggest accomplishments over quarantine is learning how to play viola.
I'm not good at drawing or painting or like art and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just like, it doesn't work for my brain at all. I'm like everything has to be perfect. But I ended up finding something that I can draw thanks to listening to the 4th Harry Potter book, which is I have started drawing mazes. It's gotten kind of intense, to say the least. Like,
wow, Hayden, that's crazy.
Yeah, they take like 2 hours doing that because I needed something that wasn't social media, that wasn't like rewatching The Office for like the 11,000th time. Or
there have been many days over the past few months where I have not been myself, where I've woken up late, neglected my schoolwork, snapped at my family, and dealing with long winter nights, cold days, heavy school load, my injuries, strange friendships, and just the general present world has left me feeling alone and even disillusioned sometimes. But I have learned that I'm not alone. And for a long time, I was feeling like that I was the only one feeling this way. And that's an incredibly self-centered view for me to have. But it's hard when you're not seeing anybody else, when you're not interacting with anybody else, and you certainly aren't seeing other people struggling as well. I truly believe that in this time at home, we've all learned something about ourselves or learned something that we love to do, and I think that it isn't a challenge that defines us, but rather the way that we choose to handle that challenge that does.
Great. And then I guess kind of finally, do you think that you approach your education differently now? And have you learned something about the way that you learn or just about yourself in general that being at home and being able, sitting with yourself for so long has allowed you to realize?
Being in a classroom really does help me learn stuff a lot better. Like having a dedicated space to learn and interact with peers and teachers really does help me like understand the content and feel motivated to do the work.
You said a word earlier, you said transparency, and I feel like there has been a lot more transparency like in the public, but then like at least for me personally, and it sounds like what everyone else is saying, like there wasn't so much transparency, and there was just it was difficult to like check in with people and make sure everyone was doing okay, and like it was difficult to open up about how you were feeling because maybe you went from like leading this like super strong life before, and the pandemic kind of made you feel like weak or like mentally weak or like physically weak, and so it's just harder to like kind of accept that and open up and be like, okay, I've changed during this, and a lot of other people have. I need to open up and share because like these people are here for me, and like I'm here for them, so we just need to share more.
That's a good point. Is transparency is a kind of like a interesting word here because there is this new kind of transparency, but there's also this new disconnect between people that we haven't experienced before either. So